Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of DAN Show. Happy Monday and welcome to my breakdown of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, if you're new to my channel, I've got one simple question to ask you. Do you want to talk football? Because if so, you're in the right place. This is the only thing I do. There's this button right around here, this little red subscribe button. See it, see it, see it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Now, here's how this week's going to go. I'm breaking down all playoff teams from now on. It's going to start with the Eagles. Then I'm going to do the Bills, Patriots, Saints, and then Friday, I'm going to break down the Minnesota Vikings. So, hey, let's kick off the Eagles breakdown, and all my breakdowns go the same way. I break down what I like about the Eagles, then I'm going to talk about what I don't like, but stick around to the very end where I break down Vegas over-under, and if I'm going to put action down on the Eagles. By the way, I am wearing a Penn State shirt. Normally, I try to wear a color associated with the team. I own zero green for whatever reason. The Beaver Stadium's about 3.5 hours away from Philly, but I thought I'd wear it anyway. Why not? So, hey, let's start off with what I like about the Philadelphia Eagles. The number one thing I like about the Philadelphia Eagles is I could split this up into subsections, and I thought about it, but I'm just going to combine it all into Doug Peterson, the head coach of the Eagles. Number one thing I like about Peterson is that the other three teams in the NFC East are bringing in new head coaches. They're bringing in new systems. So you have one guy who's staying behind, and he's not bringing in a new system. So you have coaching continuity. Plus, in my humble opinion, this is not a slap in the face to any other coaches in the NFC East. I think Doug Peterson is the best coach. Granted, Mike McCarthy in Dallas has also won a Super Bowl, so you can't say he's the only coach who's won a Super Bowl. But in my humble opinion, I think Peterson's the best coach. The best thing I like about Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles is that ever since Doug Peterson's been the head coach in Philly, they always end the season strong. His very first season when he went 7-9, they won the last two games of the season to finish 7-9. You know, they were 5-9, win the last two games. Year two, they lose the last game of the season 0-6. Remember, Carson Wentz, who was, a lot of people thought the MVP, gets injured. So what do? They rally to win 3 games, win that Super Bowl game with a backup quarterback. Kudos to him. And that's something that you could say might be the best coaching performance in Super Bowl history, taking a backup quarterback, changing the offense, and then beating Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. The next year, they have to win 5 out of the last 6 games just to make the playoffs. Then when they do make the playoffs, they beat the 12-4 Chicago Bears with a backup quarterback again. Then they're a tipped pass away from beating the Saints. Now, even if they do make that, it's debatable if they win that game or not. But again, backup quarterback, you win a playoff game. You win 5 out of 6 just to make the playoffs. Then you win a playoff game. Then you almost knock out the Saints with the backup quarterback. And then last year, you're at a point where you lose 3 games straight. You're 5-7. Then you win 4 straight games, all 4 wins against NFC East opponents to win the division. Every year, the Eagles always end the season strong. And the thing is, I look at Doug Peterson and being a great coach because, I mean, you could have folded if you were the Eagles. You could have folded. They had a lot of injuries, something I'm going to talk about here in just a second. And they were able to overcome all of that and win the division. So kudos to Doug Peterson. I think that this is the best coach in the NFC East. And this is the only team in the NFC East that's not implementing a new head coach and a new system. So that's the biggest thing. Well, it's maybe probably the biggest thing. Let's say that. And then second thing I like about the Eagles is Carson Wentz. Now, normally I am obsessed with the NFL Top 100. I've postponed hooking up my cable. I'm just doing Netflix. Just signed up for like a free month of Hulu, and so far I really like it. But I haven't got my cable yet. Now I can watch it on YouTube, and I can log into my computer, and I can watch the NFL Top 100. But I was just going to wait because they play it on replay over and over and over and over again. And usually I can't get enough of watching it anyway. But I just found out Carson Wentz is not on the top 100, and I was floored. This is a guy who has everything you want out of a franchise quarterback. And then I watch all the All or Nothing specials, and last year they did the Eagles, and there were some rumors that he rubbed people the wrong way. I didn't see that at all. It seemed like everybody loved this dude. This dude looks like a leader. He's built like a tight end. He can make all the throws. He's athletic. I mean, this is a guy who I think easily is a top 10 NFL quarterback. He's easily a franchise quarterback, and he's a young dude who's actually got upside. I mean, the potential of Carson Wentz is still sky high, but I think he's already there. I think that if you're an Eagles fan, how do you not like this kid? And here's the thing. This is a guy who really had a great year last year, and he's really just going to get better. Third thing I like, kind of goes hand in hand, is that they're going to have an improved receiving core, if nothing else, just due to injuries alone. They had a ton of injuries last year, and for some reason my computer just froze up here. I had it set up, and here's the thing. Last year, your top three receivers are Zach Ertz, who's always going to be your number one receiver, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders. You didn't even have a receiver. Alshon Jeffrey was banged up. Deshaun Jackson barely played. JJ Art, I'm going to butcher the name, Arcida Whiteside, the kid from Stanford, the guy I really liked quite a bit. He barely played at all. They brought in Greg Ward, a practice squad player who played quarterback at Houston. I actually watched him at Houston. He was kind of fun to watch. Nelson Aguilar, who is no longer with the team. I don't think he was really the answer anyway. Some people just don't fit in for whatever reason. But keep in mind, you drafted Jalen Reagor in the first round. I love that pick, especially for this team. He's going to have a big impact. It's very unlikely they're going to have that many injuries at the wide receiver position. I've never seen really anything like it. It's like their number one, their number two, number three, number four receiver went down. That was another thing. Carson Wentz had a great year playing with guys they picked up off the street, guys from the practice squad. I mean, I got a phone call to play wide receiver. Yeah, I'm joking. I didn't, but I probably just missed the call. But here's the thing. I mean, the receiving core is just going to be better in 2020 than it was in 2019, just for injuries alone. But you also got first round draft pick Jalen Reagor, a guy I really like for Philly. Some certain players fit for certain teams. Reagor is a great fit for Philly. Now keep in mind, if Alshon Jeffrey stays healthy, don't count on Deshaun Jackson at all. But when he's healthy, he impacts the team. So this receiving core is going to be better. And fourth and final thing I like is the defensive upgrades. The two big defensive upgrades are Hargrave and Sidney Jones. And when you talk about defensive lines, let me bring something up here. You got Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, and Derek Barnett. Now, Derek Barnett broke Reggie White's sack record at the University of Tennessee. The light bulb hasn't gone off yet, but I think sooner or later it will. And adding Hargrave is just going to help. It wouldn't surprise me if this guy gets double-digit sacks this year. But Hargrave was used in a 3-4. He's going to be next to Fletcher Cox. And then you also got Brandon Graham, who, yeah, he's on the wrong side 30. It doesn't matter. He plays with strength, plays with power, plays with technique. This defensive line is going to be one of the best defensive lines in football. He's a top 5 defensive line. Now, you lost Malcolm Jenkins as safety, but you're going to take Jalen Mills, move him the safety. Now, let's be very clear. You never take a corner and move him to safety because he's an all-pro corner. But the thing is, he shows some athleticism and speed. It's an old saying. Get rid of a player 1 year too early rather than 1 year too late. Malcolm Jenkins was getting up there, even though he's a leader and a very good player. I'm going to talk about him as one of the positives of what the Saints did. But you're adding with Darius Slay and then moving Mills to safety. You're adding speed and athleticism. You're adding a playmaker. Plus, For those of you who don't know Sidney Jones, the second round pick in 2017, if you don't know his story, this was the number one corner in the draft. This was a guy who was going to go top 10, definitely top 15, had a good combine, had a good pro day, and then the last drill on his pro day, he tears his ACLs. And just the last thing he was going to do, tears his ACL. So the Eagles drafted him knowing he wasn't going to play at all. Had some issues recovering in 2018, but last year he should have been 100%, should have been a great player. He's going into 2020 not even a starter. I mean, here's a guy they were expecting to be a number one corner. He's not even a starter. Then they have to trade for Slay. If he steps up in 2020, lives up to that potential, you have two really good corners. Avonte Maddox, your fourth-round pick in 2018, he's scheduled to be a starter. He's a good guy, but he should be a nickel guy. But you also signed Nicole Roby-Coleman from the Rams. He's going to play your nickel. So there's improvements in the secondary despite losing Malcolm Jenkins, who's a leader. You have a lot of, if nothing else, you have a lot more speed, a lot more athleticism, some really good corners. And if Sidney Jones can step up and finally be that number one corner, this secondary is going to be really good. So the fourth and final thing is that you have some defensive upgrades on an already good defense. This isn't a great defense, but this is a good defense, a really good defensive line that got better, and you added a really good player in Darius Slay. So just to recap, the four things I like about the Philadelphia Eagles, you have Doug Peterson. I think the best coach in the NFC East, the only one who's still there. Carson Wentz, a franchise quarterback who was slighted, did not make the NFL top 100. Well, I think he's better than several quarterbacks that did make the list. Receiving core, you get Jalen Reagor in the first round, plus there's no way. I mean, in theory, it could happen, but you're probably not going to get as many injuries. And then the defensive upgrades. So now let's talk about what I don't like about the Philadelphia Eagles. There's not much that I don't like about the Philadelphia Eagles. And basically there's just one big thing I don't like, and I can split this up in a couple different ways, but I'm going to split it up into two. And the big thing is that you have a franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz. I think he's an excellent quarterback, but the last 3 years he hasn't been able to finish the season. Now, last year he got injured in the playoff game, so I mean technically he did finish the regular season, but you have to look at Carson Wentz's health situation, and you have to be worried. So what the Eagles did, now keep in mind, this is an Andy Reid staple. All right. And what it is that he's always believed you have a veteran quarterback who can come in just right off the bench and he can play. Now, last year, Josh McCown, who was 40, came in right off the bench and he played. And of course, they didn't win. So this year, what the Eagles did, and I'm going to split this up into two separate things. One, I don't like the Wentz health situation. Two, I don't like the Jalen Hurts pick. But ultimately, the third thing is that you take a veteran backup quarterback and you're going to replace him with a rookie quarterback. Now, Wentz is still young, so I think having a veteran who's on the field and who's in the quarterback room really helps out. You're not going to get that with a rookie quarterback. Now, keep in mind, this will be Wentz's fifth season. Wentz is enough of a veteran. He's been in the league long enough to know what he needs to watch on film. He has Doug Peterson, his coach, so he might have all the tools he needs, but I think having a veteran really helps. With Hurts, you get a rookie, and here's the thing I don't like is that I also don't like the pick itself. Now, I had Jalen Hurts going to Pittsburgh in the second round, which Pittsburgh drafted a few picks before the Eagles did. But bottom line, if you're the Eagles, you're a Super Bowl caliber team. I'm going to give you a few names of players that would be starters for the Eagles team. Kristen Fulton, he's your day one starter at corner. Now, keep in mind, you traded for Slay. So I get why you didn't want to draft a quarterback, but I think he beat Maddox out. I'm really high on Kristen Fulton. Willie Gay, the player Kansas City chose in the second round. Now, keep in mind, there were some off-field issues, but if Kansas City picked him up, now, he's not a good fit for all NFL teams. He would have been a great fit for Philly. There's a good chance he might have been, probably not with everything that went on this offseason, but he would probably be an eventual starter. This guy has all the athletic tools. Now, remember, They drafted a linebacker in the third round, Davian Howard. I like this kid a lot, the kid out of Colorado, but Willie Gay's a better athlete, probably a better fit. You could have had him instead. Jeremy Chin, he's probably your day one starter at strong safety. You're good. Now, keep in mind, you're moving Mills. You want some athleticism and speed. Chin's just as good as an athlete, except he's bigger and probably more physical. So you could he would be a starter. Denzel Mims. Now, I liked Reagor over Mims, but lots of people had Mims over Reagor. For Philly, Reagor is a better fit than Mims, but Mims was available in the second round. You had all these injuries at the wide receiver position. Why not double dip? Brian Edwards, University of South Carolina player who reminds me a lot of Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey also went to USC. So, by the way, USC South Carolina. They call USC, not just Southern Cal. They call it South Carolina. But when I watch Alshon Jeffrey at South Carolina, I was like, wow. When I watch Brian Edwards, I'm like, wow, he reminds me a lot of Alshon Jeffrey. Why not draft him? Now, keep in mind, that wouldn't have been good value because a lot of teams have him third, fourth round. I loved this kid. I had a major draft crush on him. Zach Bond and Neville Gallimore. Now, keep in mind, drafting defensive tackle after you picked up Hargrove in free agency. In free agency, probably not that good of a fit, but the value's there. Zach Bond, there's a chance. A lot of teams had him late in the first round. He went to the Saints in the third. There's a good chance he's a starter. So I just I'd go through like 7 players. Because here's the thing. Ideally, Wentz does the same thing he did last year. Start off 16 games. That's what you're wanting out of a franchise quarterback. So if that's the case, you used a second round pick on what? A gadget guy? That's what you did. You're a Super Bowl team, and you're going to use a second round pick on a gadget guy. That's what you're doing. I don't like that at all. And then keep in mind, you're taking away a veteran quarterback, which has been a staple of what you've done. It's an old Andy Reid staple. So you're taking away a veteran. So that could hurt the quarterback position. It may not, but here's the thing about Hurts, though, is that you have to redo the offense. It's not like Foles redoing offense with Foles because you worked with Foles in Kansas City for a year, and plus you're with Foles for one whole off season as well, and you got to work with him during the regular season. So let's say Wentz goes down. You have to redo this offense, and you got to figure out what this guy can do. This was not a smart move. And if you're Jalen Hurts, there's no way you want to go to Philly. I don't care what you say. You would hate going to Philly because you're never going to get shot to be the starting quarterback. There's several teams that you could have gone to that you could have been the starter. Ideally, you're a gadget guy. And let's say he does get in and he plays really well just even for one season. By the time his contract up, he's like, get me the hell out of here. I want to be a starter like every other competitor would. I didn't like the draft pick. I don't like the idea, and I don't like Wentz's health. So kind of combine those things together. But there's not much I don't like about the Eagles. So what I say, I talk about the Vegas over-under. And Vegas nailed this. They put it at 9.5. You're a 9-win team. I think they agree with me that they got better. Plus, they had a ton of injuries. So if they are healthy and with the additions they added, they're going to be better than they were last year. The over is negative 105, which means you have to wager $105 to win 100. The under is negative 115. So if you want to bet under 9.5, you have to wager $115 to win 100. So this leads me to believe that people are looking at Philly as a 9-7 team, which makes a lot of sense to me. And so you're getting a little more action on the under than you do over. The number one thing I would caution people about betting against or betting on the over is that you got to question Wentz's health. If you give me Wentz for 16 games, I'm taking over. All right. I mean, this is easily a 10-win team. But the number one bet I would make, and I think it's a smarter move than either the over or the under, is right now the Eagles and the Cowboys are plus 120 to win the division, which means you wager $100, you get 120. So you get a, what would that be, a fifth? So you get 120. Shoot, the numbers right there. What am I thinking here? So you get 120% return on investment. So I would avoid the over-under. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the NFC East. I know Cowboys fans are going to hate this, but the smart bet would be to take the Eagles to win the division at plus 120. Now, between now and the beginning of the season, if Carson Wentz even has a Band-Aid on, I'm throwing this away. But if I'm going into the regular season and Wentz is 100% healthy, I think the Eagles are going to win the division. And I think a plus 120 return on investment is a smart move because the Eagles, I think, are the best team in the NFC East. I'm a little hesitant about the over 9.5. It wouldn't surprise me if they won over 9.5. It wouldn't surprise me. I actually think the better bet's to have them go 9-7 and win the division again. I think that's smart. That's the bet I would place down. So hey, listen, I want to hear from you. This is my opinion, but what do you think? Drop a comment below or just shoot me an email at thedanshow@yahoo.com. And hey, listen, happy Monday. Tomorrow I'm going to break down the Buffalo Bills. So hey, I'll see you tomorrow.